The DEA released their new rules on marijuana, and they're basically the same as the old rules. So the only upside is that they relaxed the restrictions on studying marijuana. Wowzers! You guys deserve a medal and a cookie. It's 2016, and these idiots are just now getting around to, well, maybe we'll let you look into it a little bit to determine if there are actually benefits to it. Okay, we already know there are benefits to it. Other places are already doing the studies. And instead of acknowledging the reality of it, you're like, oh, I'll let you look into it a little bit. Aren't we so great? We're so open-minded. Please. Now, in terms of the schedule of the drug, get this. They kept it a Schedule 1 drug. You know what that means? Marijuana is classified right alongside crystal meth and heroin as the most dangerous drugs on the planet. They have it in the same category as crystal meth. There are no words for that level of stupidity. Now understand, I'm personally not a fan of marijuana. It's one of my least favorite drugs. And we covered a story, and I finally understood why. We covered a story a while back about how there apparently, if you have a bad reaction to it, it's actually genetic. So there's a genetic reaction where some people get super paranoid and they don't feel good when they're high on weed. That would be me. So I'm not a fan of it. But I don't have fucking concrete for a brain. I understand that with many people, probably the overwhelming majority of people, they smoke it, they feel pretty good. And it's not that bad. And it's something that relaxes some people and helps some people with medical conditions. And it's certainly not anywhere near as bad as crystal meth on the teeth issue alone. That's it. So they still keep it a Schedule 1, which is a giant fuck you in the face of reason and science. Scientists are most outraged by this decision from the DEA. And there's a great point made on Twitter yesterday. Somebody said, well, look, man, the FDA is also, playing a role in making this decision here. The FDA is run by who? Largely the pharmaceutical companies. A lot of their funding comes from the pharmaceutical companies. So why would the pharmaceutical companies be against this? Well, they'd be against this because they view marijuana as their competition. So they're like, well, come on, we don't want to let our fucking competition into the game and then cut into our profits, so let's just pretend like, oh, it's still so bad for you. Schedule 1 drug. You can't pull the wool over our eyes any longer, man. The internet exists. We have access to information. This is fucking crazy what they're trying to get away with. And also, let's face it, the DEA, their fucking jobs depend on some of these drugs still being illegal. So if you take one of their drugs that they police off the table and they can't police it anymore, then all of a sudden you got to lay some people off because the people in the division that would, crack down on marijuana, now all of a sudden they're out of a job because now you're saying marijuana is legal or now marijuana is decriminalized. We don't need you. We don't need as many people. So they have to rule like this for their own jobs and their own well-being. The incentive structure is beyond fucked up. And let's also understand what the reality is when it comes to medical marijuana. So not even talking about, legal for recreational purposes, which is something I also agree with because it's your body, your choice, liberty, freedom. Some people might go too far, but hey, you can go get rehab or something like that, which would be a little weird for weed, admittedly. But if you have an issue, go there. That you shouldn't be locked in a cage and, be in a jail cell because you tweaked your consciousness slightly. But in terms of medical marijuana, guys, there's evidence it helps with seizures, it helps with multiple sclerosis, it helps some people with PTSD, helps people with Crohn's disease and chronic pain and cancer. One study shows it kills cancer cells. That doesn't mean it cures cancer, just it attacks certain kinds of cancer cells. It helps with asthma, arthritis, epilepsy, glaucoma, more. It just goes on and on and on. The list is endless. So the idea that, well, no. We'll maybe allow you to study it a little bit, but come on, Schedule 1 drug. There's no medicinal uses for it. It just proves that the way the system is run is almost completely and utterly based on corruption and not based on reason and science.